many of you, first of all, Shabbat Shalom. How many of you were here for dinner? Ah, most of you, a lot of you. Why aren't you singing? Let's sing. Hallelujah. 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 I don't hear you. Yeah, keep singing. Magadu Masechaya. Sing out, come on. Much better. Keep singing. Ma'asechaya Me'odamaku Machshevotecha. Song number 2 on the song sheet. There's a hole in the universe from which nothing escapes. Things fall through to the other side, come out in different shapes. Who made the earth and sky? What makes the planets spin? Where did they come from? How did it all begin? The stars in the sky send out a flare as they burn into ash. Their light bears a message of yesterday's news. All things must pass. Who is beyond all time? Where is the end of space? What lives forever? Why is it all in place? So many questions, so little time to ask them. Blessed are you, Holy One. How can we know you? Where can we find you? You are so close and yet so far away. Tiny egg, a little seed. Life begins with a breath. For 6 long days, the work is good. and on the seventh there's rest. Who is the source of life? Where is the end of space? Where do we come from? When will we ever know?
On a Friday night, whether we're at home celebrating or at synagogue, we greet each other by saying Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat is the Sabbath, Shalom is peace. So I say Shabbat Shalom and you say? Shabbat Shalom. Now if I were to go into a Catholic church, what would they say on a Sunday morning?
Peace be with
Peace
you.
be with you?
Yeah.
So the leader would say peace be with you and people would say peace be with you?
And
also with you. Peace be with you and also with you. So peace be with you.
And also with you.
If I were to go into a Baha'i temple,
Yeah. Center.
what would they say? Say it louder. Alawapa. God is most glorious. And would people respond to that? Same thing? Okay, so I would say Alawapa.
Alawapa.
Okay, if I were to go into Cavalry Church, what would Cavalry? Core Bible Fellowship. What would they say? Good morning. Okay, let's try that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Awesome. Any other religious groups represented here? What? Shepherd of the Valley. We talked already. Peace be with you and with you. Awesome. Welcome. I'm Rabbi Paul Kipnis, Rabbi Julia Weiss, Cantor Doug Kotler. We welcome you all here to Congregation Army. You already met, I lost him, but Meir, our rabbinic intern, and Tammy's here. Tammy Cohen, our education intern. We welcome you all here tonight. There is one of the things that when religious groups do it well, we learn from each other and borrow from each other. And there is a song we sing. We add Hebrew to it. Tonight we're not going to add the Hebrew. But it's a prayer that tries to get us in the space to open ourselves up and allow not the room or the building to become the sanctuary. But in fact, when we do religion right, I think we become the sanctuary. We become the holy place. And then God can work through us to do miraculous work of lifting others up. Some of you already know this song. Others, I'll give you the words and you sing them back. So what I'd love you to do is, don't worry about the song sheet. I'm going to give it to you. Maybe sit up straight if your body allows you to do it. Put your feet down, maybe your hands open or closed. And the first words, Lord, prepare me.
Lord, prepare
to be a sanctuary.
To be a sanctuary.
Pure and holy.
Pure and holy.
Tried and true.
Tried and true.
Close your eyes if you're comfortable. And with thanksgiving.
With thanksgiving.
I'll be a living.
I'll be a living.
Sanctuary to you. Really open yourself. Let the Spirit of the Holy One in and sing, Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary.
To be a sanctuary.
Pure and holy.
Pure and holy.
Tried and true.
Tried and true.
And with thanksgiving.
With thanksgiving.
I'll be a living.
I'll be a living.
Sanctuary to you.
Sanctuary for you.
And so that's what we're here tonight, and really every day, but especially tonight, to open ourselves, to allow us to be sanctuaries, to invite the holy presence within us so that we can share that holiness with each other and then bring it out into the world. We'll learn, we'll listen, we'll open our hearts. Let us be inspired. Let our work transform this world. And then really we'll be a sanctuary to the Holy One. Amen.
Good evening. Again, I'm Rabbi Julia Weiss. It's my honor to welcome you to Congregation Orami, and we are sitting among many faith leaders, those who we're really excited to both welcome. Most of you have actually been here before, but welcome you back into the family, and so thank you for spending your evening with us. I want to introduce and welcome Pastor Scott Kegel and Adrian Kegel as well, are both here from Agora Bible Fellowship. If you'll just kind of wave so we all know where you are. And Pastor Fred Blattner from Shepherd of the Valley, we're happy you're here. Shepherd of the Hills, thank you, Shepherd of the Hills. And Reverend Zachary Hoover's here from LA Voice. And our Baha'i community, our Baha'i friends, so Seema Mobini, Casey Porter, Amy Porter, Hamid Mitra Rastegar, Shad Razai, and we're happy. Did I miss anyone else? Is anyone else here? Stephen? Oh, and Gregory. Gregory, what's your last name, Gregory? Stutza. We're happy you're here. Welcome to everyone. And some other guests, we have Kim Ballin here, so if you'll raise your hand. And Kareem Ho, if you're here. Yeah. So welcome to all of you. A couple of months ago, a small group of us met from across faiths to dream about what tonight could look like. We realized we mostly wanted to celebrate our friendship with one another through music and education. And we recognized the importance of coming together around the brokenness in our world, specifically the homelessness crisis that's plaguing our community, our city, and our state. So tonight we will celebrate us coming together. We will sing and we will learn. We will come face to face with those who struggle to make money, not only to put food on a table, if there's even a table at all, but even those who don't have a home. And we will hear about what we, you and you and you and you and me can all do about it. Because the problem is overwhelming, but the solution is clear, and we can be a part of that solution. First, I'd like to invite up my friend, Jonah Buckman, to the Bima, the stage here. Jonah is representing the hope of the next generation of our leaders, of advocators, of problem solvers, of energy givers. Jonah is young but mature, and is the walking hope in this broken world that I hope you witness tonight after hearing him speak.
Hi, I'm Jonah Buckman, and I'm 12 years old. Most of us here have food and water and a shelter, roof, good medical care. All of us here, young and old, and there's a lot of us here, who out in the world who don't have food, and they don't have water, and they don't have a home. They're sleeping on the sidewalks, they're eating out of trash cans, and it's just kids as old as me, and kids as young as my sister, and older people too. It's all ages, and it's awful. And so Tikkun Olam means to make the world a better place, not just for us, but for everybody. All the 7 billion of us on the planet. And even though there are so many different wonderful organizations that are helping with this, in 2019, in January, there are 58,936 people experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles, just in Los Angeles. It's a giant, abominable number. And the people without shelter and food and water has gone up 12%, which is also awful.
Let's talk about compassion for a moment. Compassion literally means to suffer together. It is defined as the feeling that arises when you are confronted with another's suffering and feel motivated to relieve their suffering. In Hebrew, the word for compassion is rachamim, which is directly related to the Hebrew word for womb. It is as if we are as close to another person as a baby in the womb is close to his or her mother. We feel what they feel. But some people take that feeling and ignore it instead of dealing with the problems around them. Homelessness is an issue that cannot be ignored. You need to act and show compassion to those experiencing homelessness. There are many ways you can show compassion to help in your community. Say hello or smile when passing a homeless person on the street. Donate old clothes, some food, things you no longer need. Buy coffee or food for an individual who looks hungry. Or keep a couple energy bars, extra ones, in your car, and when you see someone at the exit of the freeway, hand them out. There's no need to donate money. Provide sustenance. Encourage your local media to cover stories that illuminate the stories of these individuals, honor their lives, and feature them as people worthy of our concern, because they are. The following video, created by Michael Kaplan with beautiful music composed and sung by Cheryl Bronstein, both congregants of Orami, illustrates the humanity of those experiencing homelessness.
Keep us in your shelter, fill us with the gift of Shalom. Yivarechecha Adonai, v'yishmerecha. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichnecha. פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
If you can remember that everyone is still a person underneath all the grime, the dirt, the drugs, and everything. You see someone on the street, just look them in the eyes. Just acknowledge their humanity. It goes a long way.
Guide us with your strength. Keep us in your shelter. Fill us with the gift of shalom. Fill us with the precious gift of shalom.
Dear God, please bless everybody on the street and everybody that's homeless and needs some place to need some help.
While we're getting ready for the next phase of our program, I want to point out, if you're interested in receiving this video, we have a pamphlet outside that gives the website, that you could view it at home, you could share it with someone else. And in this pamphlet, there is two other bits of information. One is this Sunday is the Interfaith Solidarity Walk with hundreds of people, a wonderful opportunity to interact with different faiths, and there's information of where it starts and so forth. And also on March 18th, Michael Kaplan, who did this, is doing a program of 30 years of his videotaping and photography on the topic spirituality and homelessness. And this is going to be March 18th at the Presbyterian Church. And this is also sponsored by the Solidarity, Interfaith Solidarity Network. Okay, so you saw these pictures as part of the video, and we know about the adage that says a picture is greater than 1,000 words. What I'd like to spend some time is have you look at these photos, and in less than 1,000 words, tell us about what words or feelings come to mind as you see these images. Anybody? And if one image means more than another, please tell us. Yes, young lady. Sympathy. Okay, wonderful. What other images or emotions are evoked by viewing? Yes. Hopelessness. Okay. What else? Sadness. Okay. Any would you have any different perceptions of these situations? Two photos of people walking down in LA. All of these, I believe, were taken in downtown Los Angeles. You see. But if they were standing up and you passed them to the street and just these two, what would you think? Yes.
A young woman there could be any of our daughters or a friend that came over for dinner or.
Wonderful, wonderful comment. Do you know, when we have started and we were trained, we were taught to use the phrase people experiencing homelessness rather than homeless people. Why do you think, I'm going to ask you, young lady, because you're really on topic. Why do you think we want to use the term people experiencing homelessness rather than homeless people?
Because no matter if they're homeless or if they have a home, we're all just people. So they're still a normal person,
Okay.
just like all of us.
That's right. Anybody could be homeless. One of the things we have found in our work, that the average apartment in Los Angeles County costs $2,300 a month. A family where a member loses his or her job can be homeless in 2 or 3 months. And people who think it can never happen to me, it can. Yes.
Yeah, because we don't want to put a label on them. Because, like, if we say they're homeless people, it's kind of like giving up. We're saying people experiencing homelessness, that means it's going to end.
Excellent. One question that's often asked, and I've spoken to Michael Kaplan, who's done this work, and he's gone all over the country, and he has tapes of people experiencing homelessness and videos. What is one question or concern that people experiencing homelessness have? Of course, it's food and it's shelter, but what is amazing was the man in the wheelchair expressed it all. They say that we want people to recognize us, and many say, no one has ever identified me by my name. And we know a person's name is a link to his or her identity or personhood. And so, of all the things they can mention, what is most important is the recognition of them, is that smile and recognition to them as people. And that's so important. So thank you so much. And we're going to be using this at the march on Sunday, but we have our children participating in this program. Thank you so much.
I'd now like to invite up Casey and Gregory.
Okay, I think you've been prepped, right? Your call and answer ready. So when we sing, you'll sing along, yes?
Yeah.
All right, I love this.
Let's do it.
I feel at home here. Oh Lord, raise me up that I may not fall back. Oh Lord, raise me up that I may not fall back. Me up that I may not fall back. Oh Lord, raise me up. Come on and raise me up. Guide my feet. Oh Lord, guide my feet that I may not fall back. Oh Lord, feet. Come on and guide my feet. Touch my heart. Oh Lord, touch my heart, that I may not fall back. Oh Lord, touch my heart, that I may not fall back. Oh Lord, touch my heart, that I may not fall back. Oh Lord, touch my heart. Come on and touch my heart. Come on, raise me up. Oh Lord, raise me up, that I may not fall back. I can't hear you. Oh Lord, raise me up, that I may not fall back. Oh Lord, raise me up, that I may not fall back. Oh Lord, raise me up. Come on and 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 guide my feet. Come on and guide my feet. Come on and guide my feet. Come on and touch my heart. 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 Come on and raise me up. Come on and raise me up. Come on and raise me up. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Nina Tryman from Congregation Orami. I want you to imagine that you're standing in front of a pond. Now toss in a pebble. What happens? It makes ripples, right? These ripples are like Orami's Sukkot Shalom campaign to reduce homelessness. And Sukkot Shalom means shelter of peace. Now look where your pebble landed. Look how small that first ripple is. When we first started working on reducing homelessness, we started here in our congregation. The feeling was good, but we knew we needed to reach out to our community. So our next ripple was research and legislation. Who in our community was working toward this effort, and how could we participate? We met with local and state representatives. We talked with community leaders that are doing this work, people from Los Angeles Family Housing, LA Voice, many mansions, some of whom you will hear this evening. We campaigned to pass Proposition HHH to provide the wraparound services desperately needed for the housing that was going to be built through Proposition H. But we knew we needed help. How do we make our ripples reach even further? We started to reach out to nearby faith-based organizations and congregations because we know from experience that the multiple voice is louder than the single voice. But without a plan and an even louder voice, we weren't yet seeing results. So we partnered with Everyone In, a United Way supported organization that was doing what we wanted to do. Our ripples were now radiating outward, reaching much further than before. We attended neighborhood council meetings, city council meetings, protest meetings. We spoke, we listened, we showed up. And we now have some successes to show for our work. With our support, a county building in Canoga Park is going to be converted to bridge housing, and they're actually going to be ready for move-in in about 6 months. An apartment building in Sherman Oaks is going to be converted to permanent supported housing for senior citizens. 2 parking lots in Reseda are being studied for possible permanent supportive housing. And a body shop and parking lot in Chatsworth is proposed for 63 permanent supportive housing studio apartments. So what's next? With your help, and I really mean the multiple your, we can do more. Maybe you could come to a training to learn how this work is done. Show up to a neighborhood meeting to show your support for this type of housing. Send letters or emails to our leaders, letting them know that you support these projects. The objectors are loud. We need to be louder. Our ripples are reaching quite far now, but we need you to be part of the solution. We have obviously not been successful in housing every person, but every person that we are housing is definitely a success. Let's meet a housing success now. Here to share her story with us is Kim Balan. I knew I had it. Thanks, Myron. This is Kim, and I am still Rabbi Julia Weiss. We are really lucky to have Kim, and Kim actually lost her voice and really can't speak. You're not supposed to speak at all. Doctor said not speaking at all as a result of the allergies and the smoke in the air and everything else. We are so beyond honored to have you, and I'm sorry that you cannot use your physical voice, but when you hear the story, you're brave, and I know this is a big group for you, right? And we're really glad you're here. So, I'm Kim. Rabbi Julia invited me to share my story on how I became a resident of SF Village, Many Mansions. We all have a story, and I'm honored to share mine. People living in poverty and homelessness is so prevalent in our society today. To look at me and carry on a conversation, you'd never know I'm someone who lives in poverty. I'm not sharing for pity, but to bring awareness, not for myself, but for all who live like I do. There's a misconception in this country about who lives in poverty. Sure, we have people crossing our borders, alcohol and drug addicts, mental illness, elderly, the disabled. We also have people who lost just about everything. I'm one of those. I'm a recipient of Medi-Cal. I qualify for CalFresh, though I do not access it. I am not on Section 8. I live off my wages. My current salary is $12.96 an hour. At one time, I was making mortgage payments on a 1,400 square foot, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home with a pool. I lost my home when alimony and child support ceased. I was a single parent trying to better herself and the lives of my children, working full-time as a medical assistant while pursuing my Associates of Science degree in MRI technology. The college I attended lost its accreditation. Losing my home was devastating. I worked so hard for my home and did so much work on it. I tried to refinance twice, though Bank of America was not willing to work with me. The representatives assigned to my case suggested I get a second job, borrow money, or look for a roommate. I was already working double shifts. Getting a second job wasn't an option. With being a single parent raising children, I did not want a stranger in our home. My daughter attended UCSD in La Jolla, and my son was still at Newbury Park High School. Both worked while going to school and offered to help pay for our home, though I did not want to put that burden on my children. A few months prior to losing our home, my daughter returned from school in San Diego. My son continued his studies at Channel Islands. Both moved in with their father, who is my ex-husband. After losing our home, I rented a room from my best friend's dad. He too was losing his home. Just mere weeks before being accepted into Many Mansions, I called a homeless shelter for myself. Years ago, I was someone who gave back to my community. My children and I would adopt a family during the holiday from St. Julie's. I was my daughter's Girl Scout leader. Our troop would collect canned goods and donate to Mana. All these years later, I'm someone who frequents Mana. Walking into Mana is such a humbling experience for me.
I never in a million years thought I would end up at a food bank or live in affordable housing. I never knew many mansions existed until I gave a coworker a ride home. I was on the wait list for 4 years before being accepted, and 6 years later, I'm still a resident of SF Village. I live in a 300 square foot studio apartment. I call it my little slice of heaven. I have somewhere safe to lay my head at night, which offers me peace of mind. It's very rare that my children and I are under the same roof nowadays. It's because of many mansions, I have a home where my children can gather. Sometimes my children will come and spend the night with me. As they lay sleeping, I take comfort in their breathing. As a mom, I'm happiest when my children and I are under the same roof. Many Mansions has given me that opportunity, and I'm thankful. I give back when I can and speak on occasion as an ambassador of Many Mansions. If not for Many Mansions, I do not know where I'd be. I cannot afford an apartment outside of affordable housing. My last full year of employment, I earned a little over $18,000, with working 34 hours a week. I go without things people take for granted. I buy most of my groceries from the 99-cent store. I'm struggling, though I'm very proud of the work I do and the way I live my life. Every single human being is entitled to clean, safe, habitable housing. A home is where love lives. Memories are made. Our homes offer us stability, consistency, and structure. These are things all humans need to prosper. This security enables us to get up every day and participate in life. All of us deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of our living situation. Thank you for listening to my story. I would like to invite up Shad, one of my friends from the Baha'i community. Where is Shad? There he is. One of them, yeah.
Good evening. I think one of the reasons why I was invited here was for the past 7 years, I've volunteered at a shelter that we provide food, 4-course meal for our guests. And our Baha'i community is also has been supporting both monetarily and with volunteers for the past 7 years, every Friday night. Now, the one I'm talking about is the New Friends Homeless Center, and I have some more brochures for you. But everything that was said tonight here is really, and we could say a lot more, because I see it every week as to we call them our guests. We provide a 4-course meal that is sit down. We serve them. We provide friendship. One of the things about homelessness that is, or the humanity that is behind the homelessness is lack of support, either family or friends. We tend, every one of us goes through issues and concerns that we have, but we have support system to help us. These individuals have somehow lost that support system. And it's also, I think, it's a process that needs to be looked at in terms of the spiritual aspect of it. Organizations or religious groups, the interfaith meetings that we have and get together is one of the things that we can build on in terms of providing spiritual guidelines for all humanity, and also to help them understand that they can do better. Now, we provide food, and it's not easy even for us, because the pastor that has this organization has struggled to, fundraising and so forth. One of the things that really surprises me, and I'm sorry I'm taking a little time, but one of the things that really surprises me is that the lack of interest from these corporations that want to provide some of the food. As an example, let's say we go shopping every Friday. I'm not going to name any stores, but when we do, we ask them, could you, give us a break or, provide some food that you're going to throw away? Because 40% of all the food in the United States that's grown is thrown out. 40%. Either they're on the farmers do not pick them or produce them, or people buy it and they just throw it away after a while. Supermarkets tend to discard it. 40%. So we want to get that 40% into our, or at least a percentage of it into our meals, but they're hesitant because of, I think somebody said, the political aspect, the legal aspect. So these are all the issues that we as interfaith groups need to work on as a approach to solving this social justice issue. There are many social justice issues in the world, but I think one of the things we can do is, at least for now, address this. So by addressing an issue that is rampant, as the young man said, that 58,000, I think the number he used for LA, which is true. But some of the 58,000, these are just people who are counted. Never mind about the ones that have a home but cannot eat or have a good meal. One of the things that I've learned in the past 7 years is that there are many types of people who are in need. One is their street people. Two are people in their vehicles. Three are people who are in homes, small and or whatever, or sharing rooms, but lack of funds, they cannot eat. And so one of the things that we were told from day one is that be generous when we were dishing out the meals to them, because some of them have gone like several days without eating properly. Okay, so I think it's an issue that we can overcome, but we just need to work together as interfaith groups like we're doing tonight. And I think that it's something that, when I crossed that 7 years ago, when I crossed that threshold, not for a minute did I look back. So I crossed the threshold into another world of meeting all these individuals and in a slice of humanity that I would have never met if I hadn't crossed that threshold by just taking that step. So I think overall we should come together and take that step. Once you take that step, you'll see that, because I've matured over the years. And I just want to leave you with a little quote from the Baha'i writings, if I can. Okay. What else will rescue the world but the efforts of countless souls who each make the welfare of humanity their principal, their dominating concern? So with that, I do have additional brochures if you're interested. Every Friday night, I'm usually there from 3:30 to 9:30. I came out a little bit early tonight because of this. But this organization, the New Friends Homeless Center, also does on Tuesday nights and Sunday in Encino. The one here on Fridays is in Woodland Hills at a church. So again, thank you, and if you have any questions, I'll be around. Thank you.
I'd now like to invite up Kareem Ho from Everyone In.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Kareem Ho. Thank you to Orami Temple for inviting me here tonight and to have the opportunity to talk about the Everyone In campaign. The Everyone In campaign has been formed 2 years ago since Proposition Triple H passed. And the purpose of the Proposition Triple H is to build supportive housing, permanent supportive housing, known as PSH. So, of course, these supportive houses are not going to be built by themselves. We need to build people power, have political pressure to build this housing, and that's what the Everyone In campaign is. I am one of the 12 organizers within the County of Los Angeles. Our work range from changing people's mind and hearts about what homelessness is. And as mentioned earlier, there are a lot of myths about homelessness. There are those who have, yes, drug addiction, mental illness, but there are also a big number of people falling into homelessness because of the high rent. That's a very harsh reality that a lot of our people in the community face today. So the Everyone In campaign has come up with this, what we call the tracker, the 222 tracker. That means 200, that means that every council district in the city of Los Angeles has taken a pledge to build at least a minimum of 222 units per council district. So right now in Council District 12, as mentioned by Nina earlier, there is a proposal that has created a lot of division, to put it mildly, in the community. And our role is to build support, to build the coalition to go and advocate for those housing, because we, the Everyone In campaign, we believe that the folks who are experiencing chronic homelessness, who have been on the street for more than 10 years, they need to be housed. Everybody needs to be housed, obviously, but there is a third of the homeless population that needs a different solution. They need temporary housing, they need emergency shelter, they need a affordable housing, but there is a 1/3 of the people experiencing homelessness that need the permanent supportive housing. And that's what the Everyone In campaign stand for. We also stand for the production, the preservation, and the protection of affordable housing. So our work also going to advocate maintaining affordability of the housing. If you would like to get involved with the Everyone In campaign, I would like to recommend that you sign up online. It's everyoneinla.org, and that will enable you to receive the newsletters, the weekly newsletters that we have, and it will list all the events that we have across the county. Now, ORAMI has done tremendous work with the Everyone In campaign through the San Fernando Valley faith-based coalition, with a number of synagogues, mainly Temple Judea. I'm blanking. I'm sorry. Temple Judea, and then we also have Valley Beth Shalom and other synagogues that we are right now contacting. And the work has been essentially go to those neighborhood councils where people are fighting with each other, very vocal about what shouldn't go into their neighborhood. And that's ultimately how the work translates. We also go into people's homes to do trainings. We have trainings about what the Everyone In campaign is, how we give our messaging. As Myron mentioned earlier, we let people know that we humanize the crisis by not calling these are homeless people. We say these are people who are experiencing homelessness. So we do have a lot of trainings. We can go, setting off a coffee, dinner, a house party. Please invite us. There are a lot of my colleagues throughout the county. We go from San Gabriel Valley to San Pedro to South LA, and really throughout the county. So that's what the Everyone In campaign is. Again, these houses are not going to be built by themselves. We need to have this unified, loud voice. So I hope that you join us in this fight to end homelessness. Thank you.
Another friend I want to introduce you to, a lot of them. I want to introduce you to Reverend Zachary Hoover, who is a friend but also a mentor, a personal mentor to me. He is the executive director of LA Voice. LA Voice is a multiracial, multi-faith community organization that awakens people to their own power, training them to organize together to transform our county into one that reflects the dignity of all people. So that's what it says on their website. Let me tell you about them. We've been doing this, you've been hearing the word social action, social justice, right? And both are very, very important. Work that we do, social justice is getting to the heart and soul through relationship building that we make, not only with one another, but outside of our own communities and outside of our congregations. And we start to make a difference from the ground up. And we've been doing this work for the last, I think, 3 or 4 years. Even longer than that, but really concentrated around homelessness. And one of the reasons why we decided to work on this is we spoke together face to face with other congregants, as Nina said, and found out that this is something that's keeping people up at night. This is bothering people. This is a crisis, and it's happening to people in our community. I can name several people on my hands in our own congregation. We're in the heart of Calabasas that are struggling with this right now. So can't do this work alone, and actually it takes a lot of understanding around how we can build that relationship. Some of it seems obvious, and others of it are very intentional and strategized. And the whole reason for why we are where we are right now is because of LA Voice. We've been partners of LA Voice for about 3 years. Zach is one of the first people I call when we have something like this come up, and he is schlepping, which means just crazy driving in from downtown and far away. So he gets on the phone with us, he FaceTimes with us, he's here, and he's here because he wants this to happen all over the county. He wants these kinds of relationship building. And by the way, if you were here for dinner, that's relationship building. Right now you're listening to me talk. And that's great. And I love that. That's why I do my job. But out there, when a bunch of us were sitting and eating and just schmoozing, which we say, that's like just talking, that's the work that we do. And I learned 3 or 4 things from people at my table about each other. And that's the relationship building that we're not getting to do when we're on our cell phones in line at the supermarket, or when we're sitting and waiting for a service to begin, or picking our kids up from school, whatever it is. So it is actually easy, and it's actually not overwhelming when you partner with an organization like LA Voice, and you realize that actually we can win. We have been winning, and the whole reason why we're here is not to tell you how excited and proud we are, but to say that it's actually possible, and we want you to come with us and do that. I'm going to introduce Zach. I want Zach to talk a little bit about his journey and teach you a little bit. I think you'll learn from him as well, and then we'll keep going.
Oh my gosh, I don't have to say anything. That was the whole teaching right there. Like, that's the Torah for this evening, is to focus on what's most important, which is the truth that it doesn't have to be this way. Turn to your neighbor right now and say, it doesn't have to be this way. Turn to another neighbor, say, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. It's not that complicated. We can actually create a different world. So first of all, I forgot to say Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And also just gratitude, and as our board chair Umar Hakim says, major love and respect to Rabbi Julia and the whole team. Can we clap it up for them? This is just amazing work you all are doing. wonderful leadership. And part of why I come is because it also inspires me. And the work does have hard moments. And to be with people who are taking it seriously and showing up is something that also helps me continue to do the part that God has asked me to do. So really grateful to be here. The wrong first question to ask is, what should we do next? It's a good question. It's not a wrong question. It's just the wrong first question to ask. The right first question to ask is, who do we have to become? It's not what do we have to do next that's our first question. It's who do we have to become that is our first question. And that's what schmoozing over dinner is about. If we focus on the fact that we have to actually become a different people to figure this thing out, a people that's not separated from each other, a people that looks up here and connects with the humanity of the photos or the folks in the video, or as our younger sister here said, whoever I'm driving by or walking by on the street. And who do you have to be to each other? Who do we all have to become to each other? Because it doesn't have to be this way. A couple of weeks ago, I guess it was about almost 4 weeks ago now, I had the opportunity to join an interfaith and multiracial group of clergy to go to Alabama for 4 days. And we spent time in Birmingham, Montgomery, and Selma. And we got to go to the New Legacy Museum. We went to the Peace and Justice Memorial, which is commonly referred to as the Lynching Memorial. We went to Dexter Memorial Avenue Baptist Church. We walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and talked with an elder, a 95-year-old elder who had crossed the bridge that day and still had a scar on his forehead from being hit by a police baton. And a lot of things struck me about that trip and changed me. One of the things that was that I'm still carrying with me and that I want to share with you tonight was that those church basements, those congregational spaces where people met to plan things, were just like this room. They were not some fancy, amazing place where God's light was like shining down clearly on Dr. King, and it was hard work. The women in the church actually organized to get Dr. King to agree to help participate, to be the spokesperson for the bus boycott. He didn't move there planning to do that. Children got involved, 12-year-olds. We met an 80-year-old man who was 12 years old at the time when Bull Connor turned the fire hoses on the children in the park. We stood in the park as he told us that story. People didn't know, the elders told us when we met with them there, people didn't know that they were launching the next phase of the civil rights movement. They just knew that they were trying to be who they were supposed to be in the world that they were in. They were trying to respond to the call that was on their life at that moment. It's not complicated, but it is hard. And I feel like if we can help other people and ourselves awaken to our own call in this moment, the reality of what we're facing, that who knows what we'll be saying 20 years from now or 30 years from now. People might be coming back and visiting us and saying, did you know that you were launching this amazing effort and movement to get everybody shelter in the county of Los Angeles, the largest county in the country? And we'll say, we didn't know that. We were actually kind of confused. Some of us didn't feel like we really wanted to participate. We weren't sure. We weren't sure about certain risks, and others of us were farther ahead than others and taking risks that others couldn't. But we just kept moving forward, trusting that God was going to show us the path. And maybe that's what we'll say. Nina mentioned ripples earlier in her wonderful sharing with us, and just Yasher Koach on your sharing. Thank you so much. And I just want to share a brief story about ripples that people didn't expect when they started. One of the founding congregations of LA Voice is Blessed Sacrament Catholic Church in Hollywood. And they didn't know that they were going to found LA Voice, but they started asking questions about what was going on in their neighborhood and talking to their own members. And then from there, they invited 7 or 8 other congregations of different denominations and faith traditions to come together and ask, well, what could we do together, and who do we... I don't know which first question they started with, but they got where they needed to be. They ended up fighting for and winning the Gower Villas. Way before any of this supportive housing stuff was like, we didn't have amazing Corinnes all over the place and Beatriz Sandovals running around helping us all do this well. And there was a lot of people who showed up saying they didn't want this. And they fought for 2 years. They got this council member on their side, who at the time was Eric Garcetti, and they got the thing built. After that, they just kept going. They started doing renter clinics in their congregation. And pretty soon that spread to other congregations in the same region. And then next thing you know, they had all of LA Voice, which at that point had grown to be about 25 congregations, working on an LA citywide campaign to try to get more affordable housing built through something called inclusionary zoning. And then they helped expand the work, and also this place and other places were inspiring to it as well. They ended up being part of the Triple H campaign, the Measure H campaign, the Triple J campaign, and then all the work of LA Voice, which was inspired by Blessed Sacrament and you and so many others, ended up being part of a statewide campaign to win a rent cap recently. And we know that even though we've gotten something like, 22,000 people off the streets and into housing last year, the number still went up. That's not because of bureaucracy, that's because people are getting pushed out of their homes. So we have to deal with the whole housing situation as it is. So you never know how the ripple is going to fall. Rabbi Julia is going to come up in a second here, and together just going to talk about the opportunity for us to train together. And then I just want to, if it's okay with Rabbi Julia, I'd like to, just right after that, come on. I'd like to share something that happened in a meeting somewhere else and us do the opposite. Sound good? Okay.
Okay, so this is our opportunity. What can we become? Right, that was the words you used. And then what do we get to do next? Right, not the first question, but the second. So we have an opportunity to do some work together. Whether you are familiar with this work already or not, we're all going to get to do it on the same page. And one of the ways we're going to get to do that is through what we call a training. What that means is we're going to get to know each other. We're going to get to learn from an expert in this, and we're going to build some power in the relationships that we have with each other. And Zach is willing to come out again and train us and work with us. And this will be the first time that we'll be sitting down together, hopefully, interfaith, multi-faith, multi-race, and we'll be able to learn together and then hopefully do some work together through that. So we're going to ask that if you are interested and available, we actually already have a training set that we're hoping that we all will get, that it's a good date for all of you. So if you will take out your phones, if you have a phone, please take your phone out. Right? If you are familiar with texting, awesome. If not, we're going to come help. If that's something that you need help with, you're going to open your phone and open to the text messages. How many of you have never sent a text message? Just so we know to help, Rabbi Paul. And then if you start a new text message, I'm going to give you a phone number, and you're going to type in the numbers, which if you switch the screen to numbers, if it's on alphabet, it should help. We'll help you if you need help. And if you are available and excited by this work, we're going to ask that you text the number that I say to you that's also written on these sheets, your name, your preferred phone number, and your email. And the training is November 20th, 7 to 9 p.m. That's a Wednesday evening, November 20th, here at Congregation Orami. The number is 805 409 7331. If you're available November 20th, 7 to 9 p.m., and you are interested in being a part of this training with us, you're going to give us your name, preferred phone number, and your email. Now, you may be asking yourself, what if I can't come that Wednesday evening? There's another opportunity. I just don't want to confuse you with too much information. This is just for those who think they are interested and available. Anybody need the number again or need help? All right, we will tell you a way that you can sign up if you're interested, want to hear more, you have some more questions, you're not actually available that evening. We'll tell you a little bit about that at the end of the evening.
Okay, cool. So I read in the LA Times last year that there was a meeting around housing for people experiencing homelessness. at someplace in Orange County. And there was a quote in there from one of the participants who got up to the mic and said, "It's not my problem. I don't care where they go, and I don't want them near me." So we are going to say the opposite. And I would invite you to participate with me. So please stand up if you are able. And I want you to repeat after me. We're going to say it twice. And the second time we're going to say it louder. Okay? If you want to feel your heart, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, you can put your hand on your heart. So, it is my problem. I do care where they go. I want them near me. Okay, guys, we're going to get loud this time. I know it's like shul on Friday night, but let's do it, okay? If you are feeling this in your gut, that this is wrong, that it doesn't have to be this way, that it could be different, then I want you to say with me, it is my problem. I do care where they go. I want them near me. Now turn to your neighbor, shake their hand, give them a greeting, however you greet. My part's done. Whoever's up is up.
The work we are doing as an interfaith community is so holy that we suspended our regular prayers to gather together to learn. For the work we are doing, the commitments we are making, the people we are committing to work to becoming, is the reality of God's presence in our lives working through us. Our work tonight is a prayer. And so it makes sense that we don't need to add so much Hebrew or so many of the traditional pieces of the liturgy, because this is prayer. There are two prayers, however, that whenever we gather as a community we need to say, because it's about reaching out to our community and the larger community. The second is the Kaddish prayer, a prayer we say when we're remembering our beloved loved ones who have died. But the first is called the Misha Berach. It's a prayer for healing. These are the only two prayers, well, maybe one more, that we're adding Hebrew into. So, but it's a prayer to bring light into the lives of those who are struggling with things that need healing. So in a moment, Cantor Doug and Cheryl Bronstein, one of our congregants, a soloist here and an incredible composer of Jewish music, will lead us in the singing of the Misha Berach, a prayer, this one written by Debbie Friedman. Close your eyes for a moment and bring into your mind those people for whom you would like to ask for healing. We often think about four categories. We think of those who are struggling with physical illness. And it's important that we think about those who are struggling with mental illness. There are those who are enduring a struggle that goes into their soul, a spiritual struggle. Those who are dealing with emotional, financial, and other challenges. We bring into this room, into our hearts, into our prayers, all those who are facing housing insecurity. And we also take a moment as I bring my hand around the room to invite you to mention aloud those for whom you're asking for healing. It's our tradition to say their name and then their relationship to you, like my Uncle Fred, my friend Sophie. And then we'll sing a blessing of healing for them and for ourselves. So tonight, may open your eyes. Tonight we are asking for blessings of healing for, and don't whisper because you can't catch it. Well, you might be able to, but more important is we catch the need for compassion. So say it aloud so we can support each other. Tonight we ask for blessings of healing for.
My friend Jenny.
My friend Rich. My friend Linda.
My brother-in-law Frank.
Gina.
For all of them and all of us, let's take out the song sheets, if you will. Turn to the back page. It's number 4. The first words are Misha Berach Avotenu. May the one who blesses our fathers, Makor HaBracha Le'imotenu, the source of blessing for our mothers. And the rest is pretty clear. Sing along with us as we pray. Just over a year ago, we gathered as a community in this sanctuary. Our partners, our friends from all religious groups gathering together because a year ago today in the Jewish calendar, in a synagogue in Pittsburgh, the Tree of Life Synagogue, Jewish people gathering to worship were murdered. Because of anti-Semitism, yes, but remember they were working on issues of immigration. And so it was from hatred, the H word. It was like the hatred that has gone on around our country and around the world. And so tonight as we gather, again as an interfaith community, we bring to mind those who died in that synagogue, and also others who died at the hand of those who wield the H word at religious institutions and houses of education and other social settings. Just these past 2 years, to name a few, we lost dear innocent ones in Thousand Oaks, Aurora, Illinois, Virginia Beach, Annapolis, El Paso, Dayton, Odessa, Texas, Poway, California, Christchurch, New Zealand, Gilroy, California, Parkland, Florida, Sutherland Springs, Texas, Las Vegas, and just recently, Halle, Germany, and on and on. It is hatred. It's anti-Semitism, and we Jews recognize that's a unique form of hatred, but it's not the only one. And it goes hand in hand with all the other hatred. So we remember them by lifting their memories up as we commit to fighting hate wherever. Even as we remember them, the loss is also personal. And we remember our own loved ones who died at this season and in years past. It's traditional in synagogues for us to remember our loved ones at this time. Traditionally, remember those who died a year ago, also those who died in the last 30 years, the Shloshim period, those who died this week. But as is Orami tradition, we also invite people to mention the names of those for whom they are blessing, whom they are remembering at this time of Kaddish. Today, particularly, we remember Jason, the grandson of our congregants Debbie and Jeff Kurtz. We also, some of you here remembering your loved ones at this time of Kaddish. As I bring my hand around the room, I invite you to mention their names and their relationships aloud. Tonight, we are remembering Asher ben Elchanan Esther. We don't have prayer books out, but it's our tradition. If you were to go to an Orthodox synagogue or conservative synagogue, some Reform, only the mourners rise. In our Reform synagogue, we all rise as one community, supporting each other and praying for all. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divarach rutei v'yamlichma chutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agalau v'zman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudisha brichu Le'ela min kol be'erchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shloma rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. While you're standing, we close every service, every gathering, board meetings, and the like with a nighttime prayer. And it's an easy one in this way that we never did back east, but we do in California since we moved here. We invite people to put your arms around the people next to you. Hold them close. Any of the young people who want to join us up here on the bima and help us lead, come on out. I'm going to give you the words. There's some in Hebrew, some in English. The Hebrew will translate afterwards in the English, so don't worry about it. It begins Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu
L'Shalom.
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 V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu.
V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Ufros Aleinu.
Ufros Aleinu.
Sukkot
Shlomecha.
Ufros Aleinu. Sukkot Shlomecha. Amen. Here comes the English. Shelter us beneath thy wings.
Shelter us beneath thy wings.
O Adonai.
O
still to do. So this isn't the end of the end, but it's the beginning of the end, which becomes the beginning again as we return to the beginning. But in the name of Adonai, in the name of the one, the perfect, the single God, in the name of the one that people know as the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, as Jesus, in the name of the source of life, we give thanks for being able to lie down in peace, rise up anew with strength, and we wish that everybody would be able to do that, because then it would be a prayer that we would sing resoundingly. A final amen, thanking God as we sing.
Thank you for joining us this evening. A couple of just short thank yous to the Sukkot Shalom, our social justice team, Myron and Nina and Kathy and Linda and Scott and Toby, and who else is here tonight? Meir, our rabbinic intern who helped put this together, Steve and Lori Kellerman, who can't be here. Also Nina's team that set up for dinner. Thank you for setting up dinner. Thank you to my faith colleagues for responding so quickly about coming together with us this evening. And thank you to Casey and Gregory for adding your beautiful voices, and to Shad as well. Thank you again for being here. Just 2 notes. 1, if you would please, there are 2 sign-up sheets that are being held right now. One is in case the Google Voice number didn't work. When you walk out, if you texted a number, I want you to just sign up just in case with, it's just 1. Rabbi Paul's got it. Meir's going to have it. You'll see it out there. Please let us know if you're interested in joining the training with us on November 20th. And if not, if you have questions or you want to do a further conversation, we're happy to have that. So Shabbat Shalom and good night.